Our next nested structure is a repetition inside a conditional. So here we might have an if, else, end if condition that one of the forks contains a loop. Maybe a do-while loop, it could be a do-until loop, it could be a for loop, or even a for-each loop. Let's look at an example. This is a very simple application in which we have a list box and a button to add items to the list. And that list box can be locked or unlocked. If I click the Add Values to List, I'm getting a sorry, you must first unlock the list. That's happening within an if, else, end if structure. So if I unlock the list and then I click Add Values to the List, it brings up an input box in which I can add anything to this list. This could be numbers, it could be words, it could be names. I'm just going to do some numbers here. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3. Click OK. And I'm in a loop where it's going to keep asking me to add numbers, but to end the loop, I can just leave it blank. So I've entered 3 numbers. I'm going to leave it blank and just click OK. And now it has terminated. I get a little message box here saying entry process terminated and list locked. It's relocked the list. So this process of adding entries continues in a loop fashion within the if fork of my conditional. Let's take a look at the code. My interface consists of a list box named LST entered values, a button of btn add, and then another button here called btn lock. I could have used a label, but a button can also use an image list just like a label does. So I have an image list here called img lock, and it contains 2 items. My locked image and my unlocked image. Indexes 0 and 1. And so my button has a connection to the image list of img lock, and the image index is set to 0 to start. Let's look at the code for that button, which is simply to set the image index to either 0 or 1 based on the current value of that image index. So it's basically a toggle going back and forth. The btn add button, handling the click event, I created a string variable called user entry. It's a null string. If btn lock.imageindex is 1, meaning it's unlocked, it's in the green position, then user entry equals input box, add new entry, blank to end, add new entries as my title. So I'm using an input box to get a value from the user, and then that true fork also within the if, else, end if structure is do while user entry dot to upper, and I don't really need the to upper here. Initially I had it being an X. So I'm going to say user entry does not equal a null string. LST entered values dot items dot add, and we're going to add user entry. And then we'll ask them again to add their next item. As long as they don't leave it blank, it'll keep adding items to the list box. Once they enter a blank, then we're going to exit the loop. We're going to set the image index back to 0, meaning it's got that little red locked icon. And the message box will show that we've terminated the entry process. That's all in part of the true fork of my if, else, end if. The false fork of that is that message box that comes up if the list is locked of sorry, you must first unlock the list with the title of the list is locked. So here we see a loop occurring within a conditional fork. If you just jumped into this video, you can see all the videos from the Programming Practicum playlist by clicking on the image in the lower right. And if you'd like to be alerted to future videos I create, you can click my picture in the top right to subscribe to the channel.